After the car accident, I pretended to have amnesia to amuse my husband and son. Who are you? My son's eyes flashed with a hint of joy, and he led the woman standing outside the ward in. He said to me, Auntie, my parents and I are here to visit the patient. My husband, who was standing by, said nothing and acquiesced to his son's address. Auntie, my parents and I are here to visit the patient. The sweet voice of the baby echoed in the ward. I had a bandage on my forehead, and I looked down at my 5-year-old son Lucas, who was holding one of them in each hand, with a sly smile on his face. Ethan, who was in a suit and tie, had no intention of correcting his son's address, but looked at me with a hint of inquiry. The woman led by Lucas was wearing a white long dress. She had an elegant and gentle temperament. At this time, she was a little embarrassed when I looked at her, so she tucked her hair behind her ears. Lucas saw me staring at Claire, and stood in front of Grace vigilantly as a protector. If I really had amnesia, I would really think that the people standing in front of me were a loving family of 3. Lucas tugged at Ethan's hand and whispered, Dad, since Mom has lost her memory, can you guys get a divorce? Although Lucas spoke in a low voice, he controlled the volume so that I could hear him clearly. I know his little tricks. He is punishing me because I said a few words to him yesterday and made him lose face in front of the servants, and he got angry. This is Lucas's usual prank, and he takes pleasure in punishing me. But I don't want to play his pranks with him anymore. Since I said I have lost my memory, I will continue to pretend. Pretend that there is no such son, no such husband. Excuse me, who are you? Lucas was a little surprised, and there was a little panic. Do you really not remember me? You can't possibly not remember me, I am your favorite child. Ethan frowned, his clear eyes turned cold, and his voice was impatient. Naomi, stop pretending. The doctor said it was just a mild concussion, not serious. Don't think you can escape divorce just because you have lost your memory. That's right, stop pretending. You love us so much, how could you forget us? Lucas's cold and stern look was exactly the same as Ethan's, and I just felt a headache. Before I could say anything, the nurse at the door knocked. The patient needs to rest, please leave if you are not necessary. Ethan and Lucas took Claire away without saying anything. The nurse came in and said to me, your husband just came and is going out to buy you some porridge. My husband? I was confused. Didn't you just kick my husband out? The nurse blinked. Yes, I was in the obstetrics and gynecology department 4 years ago, and I saw you several times. You are so beautiful, it's really hard to forget. I did have a prenatal checkup in this hospital 4 years ago, but Ethan never came to accompany me. The nurse continued, and your husband is one of the few people who didn't play with his phone during the whole process. He was anxiously waiting at the door for you to finish the checkup. He is tall and handsome, and he is so careful and loyal. At that time, we, the nurses, believed in love again. By the way, who are the 2 of you? They are handsome, but their faces are as dark as if they are debt collectors. I couldn't help laughing. Ethan had never come to any of the 14 prenatal checkups. The one who came with me was Ian. He is my younger brother who is 5 years younger than me. He was just 18 years old at that time. I didn't explain the relationship between Ethan, Lucas and me. After all, we will have no relationship soon. After a while, Ian came in panting with a lunchbox. I was already hungry. I hadn't eaten all day and my stomach was aching. Ian quickly opened the porridge and put it on the small table. He arranged the spoon, napkin and water cup neatly. This is warm water, and this is your favorite preserved egg and lean meat porridge. Eat first, I'll peel the eggs for you. I accepted his care with peace of mind. Since I first saw Ian brought back by my grandfather when I was 15 years old, he automatically became my most loyal servant. After eating a few mouthfuls of porridge, I felt my stomachache eased. As soon as I looked up, I saw Ian's eyes were red. You don't know, I was scared to death when I heard that you had a car accident. His lips trembled, and his voice was a little choked. My nose suddenly surged with a bit of sourness. Who wouldn't be afraid of a car accident? I was just lucky and didn't hurt anything vital. I was afraid that Ethan and Lucas would worry, so I thought of pretending to have amnesia to tease them. But how could a heartless person worry about me? I was discharged from the hospital in a few days. I insisted on explaining to the doctor that except for Ethan and Lucas, I couldn't remember everything else. After being discharged from the hospital, the doctor told Ethan that it was a temporary amnesia caused by concussion, and he would slowly remember it after recovery. I returned to my home with Ethan. Beautiful piano music came from the living room. Claire and Lucas played a 4-hand duet. Claire gave a thumbs up and praised, our little pianist is really amazing. Lucas blushed and laughed, you are the one who taught him well. A picture of a loving mother and a filial son. I walked upstairs without changing my expression. When Lucas saw me, the smile on his face disappeared. Claire stood up quickly. Naomi, how are you? I stood on the stairs and nodded to her. I am almost well, you can continue. I don't hate Claire, I just envy her. Claire is not the third party in my marriage with Ethan. She is Ethan's unforgettable first love. Although Ethan and I are married, there is a saying that is very true. The third party is the one who is not loved. When Ethan was 18 years old, the year when he was in his prime, I saw Ethan fall in love with someone so passionately for the first time. Last month, Wen's declared bankruptcy and Claire was forced to return home. Claire used all her savings to fill the gap of Wen's debt, but it was not easy for her to find a high-paying job in China as a music major. Ethan found her and asked her to be Lucas' piano teacher, $600,000 a month. New mother is so nice. I love new mother the most. Lucas said loudly in the living room. Lucas, I'm not. Don't call me that anymore. Claire looked at Lucas awkwardly. Lucas was a little dissatisfied with her address, and hugged Claire's thigh affectionately. If you call me Lucas again, I will be angry. You should call me Lucas baby. You are much gentler than my mother. I like you the most. He glanced at the bedroom upstairs, and seeing that I hadn't come out yet, he continued, Can you live in my house? I want to see you as soon as I wake up. My father has agreed. Why don't you live in my house? My house is so luxurious. You can have whatever you want. Ethan actually proposed to Claire to live here. There are many rooms, and she doesn't need to run around, not to mention that Claire is penniless now. But Claire insisted on renting a house outside and rejected Ethan's proposal. Lucas baby, you should continue to practice today's piano piece. Lucas shook his head and was determined to let her live at home. Are you afraid of my mother? Don't worry, my father and I will protect you. She listens to my father and won't do anything to you. Lucas is my son. He is very smart. He knows best what to say to poke my pain point. I put on my pearl earrings and walked out slowly. Seeing me coming downstairs, Claire was a little embarrassed. Naomi, It's okay, Claire, you can stay here. I know it takes you 3 hours to take the bus every day. I took the shoes handed to me by the servant. You don't have to feel psychologically burdened. I'm also very happy that you can come back. Lucas was a little surprised and stunned. In the past, if Dad called out the name Claire when he was drunk, Mom would cry with red eyes. Yes, Claire's visit to his house last month was not the first time Lucas and Claire met. He secretly saw the carefully preserved photos of women in Dad's drawer, as well as the names of other women he muttered when he was drunk. This made him find the best killer to punish Mom. But now this killer is ineffective. I want to eat ice cream. Bring me 2, no, I want to eat 10. The only response to him was the sound of me closing the door. He was unkempt every day during the hospitalization. He was finally discharged from the hospital and had to go to the beauty salon for skin care. The driver had been waiting outside for a long time, and Lucas inside the door put away the expression on his face. Master, the ice cream is here. The servant hurriedly took it out of the refrigerator. Who wants to eat it? He threw the ice cream on the ground. He stared straight at the closed door. Did Mom really forget him? Ethan's mother Grace knew that Claire had returned to China, and that Ethan had asked her to be Lucas' piano teacher, so she rushed over with several bags of luxury goods. On the sofa, the elegant lady held Claire's hand. Claire, good child, you have suffered so much. If you had been with Ethan at the beginning, Ethan would have helped to manage the one group, so how could your family go bankrupt now? Claire was a little panicked. Auntie, you can't say that. The past is a foregone conclusion. Now that Ethan is willing to give me a job, I am very grateful to him. What can't be said? I am relieved to leave Lucas to you now. Grace patted her hands with satisfaction. Grace whispered, Ethan is going to divorce, did you know? He wants to divorce as soon as you come back. Doesn't this mean anything? Don't worry, Lian Zhozhou likes you very much. You won't be wronged in our family, and Ethan will help your one family turn things around. Grace didn't tell me to entertain her when she came, even though she knew I was at home. I was very tactful and didn't come out to disturb them to reminisce about the past. Not only Ethan, but Lucas also likes Claire, and Ethan's mother Grace also likes Claire very much. Early before Ethan and I got married, Grace wanted Claire to be her daughter-in-law. Claire is from a scholarly family, and she is a good match for the Pei family. It just so happened that Ethan fell in love with Claire at first sight, and Grace was even more delighted, and immediately thought about preparing for the marriage between the two families. Unfortunately, Claire didn't like Ethan, decisively rejected Ethan's confession, and went abroad to continue her music studies. Although Grace felt a little regretful, she liked Claire more and felt that she was a girl with ideas and pursuits. And I, born in a small family, was vain and greedy for wealth and glory, and I would do anything to marry Ethan. I could see that Grace actually disdained me, and even hated me, but her good upbringing prevented her from showing it too obviously. Sometimes I thought, if Claire had married Ethan from the beginning, it would have been a happy ending for everyone. My phone vibrated, and I opened it. The text message reminded me that the accident insurance compensation for the last car accident had arrived. I thought I would slowly forget what happened on the day of the car accident because of fear. However, when I closed my eyes, everything seemed like yesterday. It was raining heavily that day, and Ethan and I were on the highway. Someone called Ethan, and I could hear the voice on the other end of the phone clearly. Ethan, a group of debt collectors are going to the Wen family to cause trouble. They are going to trouble the eldest daughter of the Wen family. Ethan glanced at me sideways. I knew that he was not asking for my consent, but telling me that he was going to the Wen family to find Claire. The current direction is the opposite direction of the Wen family. I whispered, please leave me at the service area in front, I will take a taxi back by myself. As soon as I got off the car, I was still soaked even though I quickly opened my umbrella. The black Bentley whizzed past me, splashing water all over my face, and my rusty feelings met the rainy day again. However, the car I took skidded on the highway because it was old. The moment the car lost control, my whole body was hairy and I quickly fastened the seat belt in the back seat. My heart was beating rapidly and my mind was blank. With a bang, my head hit the car window heavily under the violent impact. At this moment, time seemed to slow down. My mind uncontrollably recalled my first half of life, but all the memories revolved around Ethan. When I was 10 years old, my parents gritted their teeth and took out a loan to buy a villa in the most wealthy and noble area in Beijing, and I met Ethan. My parents said that I must be careful to please him, saying that he is the prince of the Beijing circle. Ethan was very good looking, and I was willing to go and play with him, so I followed him around for 7 years. At the age of 17, I seemed to like Ethan, but he hated me. I loved him the most for a year, and I was called a dog by people in his circle, and people around me called me clown sister. At the age of 18, Ethan fell in love with Claire. I watched him circling around Claire behind him, and then watched him fall into depression after a breakup. At the age of 21, Ethan got drunk and pressed me on the bed to kiss me, and he kept calling Claire's name. I should have pushed him away and slapped him, but my hand retreated. My father's company was unable to make ends meet and needed a large sum of money, and being with Ethan was also the wish of my parents and me for more than 10 years. I silently endured it, and Ethan called Claire's name for as long as he tormented me. Our affair was soon known to Ethan's grandfather. The Pei family has always been a very traditional family. He asked Ethan to marry me, and I got what I wanted and married Ethan. At the age of 22, I was pregnant. The baby was very troublesome. During this period, I had severe morning sickness and the delivery was even more difficult. Memory is a kind of crisscrossing pain. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying in the ward. I felt uncomfortable all over and had a splitting headache. At the age of 27, my son called Claire mom in front of me in front of the bed, and my husband also acquiesced. I pretended not to care, but countless moments were hurting me. The person I was reluctant to lose was looking forward to my early departure. I chose to remain silent, perhaps happiness did not belong to me. Will you speak ill of the person you love? I really want to ask Ethan and Lucas. But when they saw Claire, I think I already knew the answer. Ethan fell in love with Claire at first sight, and Lucas also liked Claire at first sight. This was the first time Lucas showed his love for someone else. People always stick to things they recognize at first sight. Lucas is becoming more and more like his father, in terms of appearance, personality and hobbies. They like Claire. I never thought Claire was a third party, because from that night on, I stole what belonged to Claire. The reason why people suffer is that they pursue the wrong things. I think this marriage has come to an end. It's time to return Ethan and Lucas to Claire. In fact, Ethan drafted the divorce agreement on the day Claire came back. He had wanted to divorce for a long time, and then pursue Claire again. As he wished, I notified the Pei family lawyer and went to Ethan's company together. I agreed to divorce. I looked at him calmly. Ethan was a little surprised. Lawyer Zhang handed each of us a divorce agreement. I quickly signed my name on the paper. Ethan paused when he was about to sign, and the fingertips holding the pen turned white. Lawyer Zhang hesitated and said, Ethan, you can sign after you think it over. I know how Ethan feels. Maybe you will have feelings for a dog, and I have been following him for 16 years. Lucas belongs to me. He looked at me with a tentative look. I nodded, I don't want either of them. He looked at me deeply again, trying to capture the sadness, grief, and reluctance he wanted to see on my face. But he didn't. He clenched the pen and signed his name with anger. I was only busy reading the property division document and left Ethan's office very satisfied. In the empty and quiet office, Lawyer Zhang shivered and felt that Ethan was emitting cold air all over his body. Ethan, do you want to announce the news of your divorce from your wife? No, she is just throwing a tantrum. After saying this, Ethan seemed to be comforted by himself, and even his frown relaxed. Don't let this leak out. Madam will come back on her own. She just lost her memory and forgot about me and Lucas. She loves me and Lucas so much, she will remember soon. The doctor said that the memory loss is only temporary. When she remembers, she will definitely come back crying and beg me to get back together. This divorce is a punishment for her forgetting us so completely. When she comes back crying and apologizes, I will forgive her and remarry her. Ethan's depressed mood instantly dissipated, and he took a sip of the coffee on the table. Lawyer Zhang was sweating profusely, and took out a tissue to wipe the sweat from his forehead. The divorce agreement has been signed, and the property has been divided. Is Madam just throwing a tantrum? When I was about to leave, I thought I would be very sad. After all, this is the place I lived in for 6 years. But I felt relaxed, as if I was free of shackles. I am no longer someone's wife or someone's mother. I don't have to please anyone anymore, and I don't have to worry about who doesn't like me anymore. While they were both away, I called 3 trucks and spent tens of thousands of dollars to hire 3 Japanese moving companies. I packed up all my luxury bags, clothes, jewelry, and skincare products and took them away. I also took away my baking supplies, a cabinet of high-end dishes and chopsticks that I carefully selected, a few pieces of furniture that I was used to using, and a lot of decorations that I bought. I even packed up some gifts that I bought for Ethan and Lucas at a high price. They didn't like them and they were placed in the corner of the cabinet. Even if I took them away, they wouldn't know. In that case, I'd better sell them secondhand, so that they can still play to their final value. After all, we're divorced. If they see these unpleasant things again in the future, they will probably feel quite disgusted. There were a lot of things to pack up. Fortunately, I had booked 3 companies with enough manpower. All the things were packed and loaded in less than 2 hours. The house suddenly became empty. When Ethan came back and saw it, he would definitely think that the house suddenly became clean and tidy. He never liked to put too many things in the house, but now they are finally gone. I was very considerate and left enough space for the hostess who was about to move in. Before leaving the yard, I took one last look at the villa. I will never come back again. Aunt Zhang stood at the gate and looked at me and wiped her tears quietly. Madam, are you really leaving? Aunt Zhang has been here since I moved in. She is very good to me and treats me like her daughter. I think only Aunt Zhang will really shed tears because of my departure. I held Aunt Zhang's hand with both hands and smiled lightly. You should congratulate me. This is a good thing for me. Ethan was very efficient and quickly divided the property. I used the change in my account to buy a large flat of 200 square meters that I had set my eyes on last month. The previous owner of this house immigrated, and it was already decorated in a French romantic style. I fell in love with it at first sight, and I didn't need to decorate it myself, and I could move in directly on the same day. I quickly signed the contract and asked the people from the moving company to move all my luggage over. I found a few organizers early on, and in half a day, my things were neatly and orderly stored. This money was well spent. I lay comfortably on the recliner in front of the French window, looking at the scenery outside the window. My life can finally start again. Ian quickly came over with a lot of bags. The first person I told after the divorce was Ian. I've been used to it for so many years. No matter big or small, I will tell Ian, and he will stand by me unconditionally. Why did you bring so many things? I saw that he had brought a lot of things. The first meal in the new house must be eaten at home. I bought some vegetables. As he spoke, he put them neatly into the refrigerator one by one. I bought fruits and milk. Now that the weather is cold, let them sit at room temperature before eating. And, little housekeeper. I couldn't help but complain. But suddenly I saw the box on the ground shook violently, and I was startled. Ian, the box is moving. Ian heard it and smiled. This is a gift for you, come and open it. I was a little afraid, but I heard a slight cat cry. My eyes lit up and I trotted over. I carefully opened the box, and it turned out to be a golden tabby. I squatted on the ground and observed the cat carefully. The cat Ian chose was very affectionate and rubbed against my calf. My heart was about to melt. Because Ethan has mysophobia, I never thought about raising a kitten, and the only one who knew that I liked cats was Ian. I hugged the cat and screamed, Ian, you are just like a worm in my stomach. I played with it for a long time and named it Marshmallow. Ian quickly prepared the meal. Ian picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs for me. You are alone tonight, okay? He was a little worried about me, maybe afraid that I would not be able to let it go. After all, he liked Ethan so much before. Don't worry, I was the one who proposed the divorce, and I don't have any feelings for Ethan anymore. After the car accident, my mind suddenly became clear. It's amazing. Ian looked at my relaxed expression and didn't seem to be fake, so he smiled with relief. I'm really happy that you can figure it out. It's Ethan who doesn't deserve you. Since you're divorced, do you want to go back to the company? Before I got pregnant, I helped my father manage the company. Later, when I got pregnant, my father handed the company to Ian, who was 18 years old and still on summer vacation, and the company's shareholders had many opinions. But it turned out that my father had a vision. In just 2 months, the company's turnover doubled or tripled. Later, Ian managed the company while attending school, and Ian also successfully jumped into the most promising business rookie. I really wanted to go back to the company, but I haven't worked for 5 years. Ian put down his chopsticks and looked at me. With your ability, you will get started quickly. Have you forgotten yourself shining in the business circle? My heart was pounding. I still remember the joy when I signed the first order in my life. I nodded and agreed to go back to the company. But 2 days later, it was my father's birthday, and I went home with Ian. I told my parents nervously. I'm divorced. My father's face darkened, and he raised his hand to hit me. Dad! Ian shouted at him. My mother ran over to stand in front of me and hugged me. She said to my father in a choked voice, "What are you doing? We have ruined our daughter's first half of her life. She is an adult, and she can make her own choices. Give her life back to her. Suddenly, countless grievances surged in my heart, and I hugged my mother and sobbed. My father's eyes were red, and he slapped himself hard with his hand. Dad is useless. He knew that the Pay family was a dangerous place, but he still let you get close to Ethan. I am the one who has no right to blame you. Mom pulled me to the sofa. Naomi, if you want a divorce, just get one. Mom and Dad have seen it all these years. Mom looked at Ian and me. Naomi, let Ian move to your place to take care of you. I think it's too much trouble for Ian. Besides, I'm such a big man, and I still need my brother to take care of me. I can take care of myself. As for the meal you cooked, it's good that you didn't poison yourself. My mother didn't comment. When it comes to cooking, I smiled embarrassedly. I love cooking and studying recipes. According to Ethan and Lucas, it's super dark cuisine. But fortunately, Ian loves to eat, so this hobby has been retained until now. At this time, Ian looked at me nervously. Naomi, you've never lived alone, and there are still many things that need to be handed over to you at the company. I think it makes sense. After all, I don't even eat the food I cook, so I can't just keep ordering takeout. And I just returned to the company, and there are still many things I need to ask Ian. Oh, and there are marshmallows, and I need Ian to help shovel the shit. I nodded and agreed immediately. Ian breathed a sigh of relief, and my mother laughed. Who else treats you as a child except Ian? I think my mother's words are wrong, because Ian is obviously a child in front of me. I really miss the glutinous rice balls that stuck to me every day when I was a child. Although I am very busy at work, I haven't been so fulfilled for a long time. The feeling of constantly killing monsters and leveling up makes me full of energy. I worked overtime for several hours before returning home. The lights in the house were still on, and Ian was waiting for me to come home. I have always been used to waiting for Ethan to come home, but this was the first time someone prepared a meal at home and waited for me to come back. The corners of my mouth rose unconsciously. I walked to the living room and found that Ian had fallen asleep waiting for me. I tiptoed over with a blanket. I was stunned when I approached. Ian was lying on a single recliner, and there was obviously a lot of extra space when I lay down. And Ian was like sleeping on a child's recliner, with half of his legs hanging on it. Ian has grown up. I never thought about it that way before. Now I look carefully. Ian has a really good figure. I lowered my eyes and my eyes were on his chest muscles. I looked very carefully, and I didn't know that Ian had raised his eyes to look at me. How did he get such good skin? White and delicate, it must feel good to touch, maybe even leave red marks if you use a little more force. His bathrobe is open very low. I can see his half-grandfather's lover. There are traces of fitness, and it is white and bulging. Even the top can see a little bit of tempting pink. Just looking at him, I feel so fragrant. It must be very exciting to bite him like this, maybe he will even cry. My face flushed instantly when I thought of the picture in my mind. I shook my head frantically, trying to shake out the picture. I must be drunk and my mind is a little unclear. I just bent down to cover him with a blanket, and when I looked up inadvertently, I suddenly bumped into a pair of bottomless eyes. I was startled, and my center of gravity was unstable, and I fell on Ian. My face was buried in his chest muscles and the pink near my mouth. My old face flushed, and I wanted to get up from him, but the shaking recliner made it difficult for me to find a point of support. Just when I got up a little, the chair shook and I fell on Ian's chest again. This was forced to bury my chest, not what I wanted. Ian held my waist with his big hand. He sat up and controlled the shaking of the recliner. Naomi, what are you doing? His voice was still hoarse as he just woke up. I raised the blanket in my hand to cover my face awkwardly. I just wanted to cover you with a blanket. He laughed softly, with his chest shaking. I realized that I was still sitting on his lap. I covered Ian's head with the blanket in anger, quickly climbed off his lap and ran back to the room. I have mastered the company's business in the past few days. I felt relaxed and hummed a song while walking. When I suddenly saw Ethan's car in the community parking lot, I just felt unlucky. As I walked, I counted the days until I could go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce certificate. Lucas was blocking the elevator door. Dad asked me to come to you. He was still angry, trying to stop me from being sentimental. He asked me to apologize to you. He turned his head away from me. I'm sorry, calling Claire mom last time was just a prank. He pouted. Who knows if you really lost your memory? It's okay, I said softly. Lucas turned his head to look at me, his eyes lit up. I watched him continue to speak. Your dad and I have divorced, and you don't have to apologize to me no matter who you want to call mom in the future. Claire will soon be your new mom. She is a very good person, and you happen to like her very much, and your life will be happier in the future. He followed me all the way to the door of the house, and he didn't intend to leave. Do you have anything else to do? If not, I will close the door. Lucas opened his eyes wide, with a look of disbelief. I apologize to you. You didn't forgive me. You will definitely regret it. Lucas looked at me stubbornly with tears in his eyes as I was about to close the door. This was the first time I treated him so coldly and heartlessly. He shouted angrily at the door. How dare you do this to me? When you regain your memory and remember me, don't ask me to forgive you. Even if you kneel down, I won't forgive you. The first time I heard Lucas say this, I hid in my room and cried secretly. I kept doubting myself, whether I didn't teach him well, why my son didn't like me, and whether I was unworthy of being a mother. But now it's different, I have no fluctuations in my heart. The mother-son relationship between Lucas and me was broken when he called someone else mom. Sometimes I often suspect that Ian is seducing me, but I have no evidence. For example, at this moment, Ian is wearing a casual home outfit and making coffee for me. The soft cotton white t-shirt and gray pants look like a male college student. No, he really just graduated from college. So youthful, I sighed while lying on the sofa. Look at this hip, this waist. Wow, it's really pleasing to the eye, no wonder they love to keep male models. Ian came over with coffee, and I immediately read the magazine seriously. I took the coffee and took a sip. As soon as Ian sat down, Marshmallow jumped on his legs and lay down. My eyes were attracted, watching Marshmallow step on Ian's gray pants. Wait. Gray pants? I couldn't help but focus my eyes on a corner. So big. Ian leaned close to my ear and swept my earlobe with a whisper. Naomi, what are you looking at? My ears were itchy, my breathing suddenly stagnated, and my eyes wandered everywhere. I said the cat has grown a lot. I blushed and rushed back to the room. I sent a message to my bestie. After Ian lived with me, I felt that he seduced me every day. Should I find a man? My bestie called me excitedly. You finally have your eyes open. You just discovered that such a handsome guy has liked you for so many years? I was confused. Does he like me? I thought he always treated me as his sister. I covered my chest, I didn't know where the joy at this moment came from. This is nonsense, anyone with a discerning eye can see that he likes you, you don't know that he pretends to be a little white rabbit in front of you, and looks like a big bad wolf outside, which can scare people to death. What do you think? Since you are divorced, consider Ian, he is much better than that scumbag. I am very confused now, the company's affairs are enough to keep me busy, I don't want to think about anything else. After hanging up the phone with my bestie in a hurry, another call came in. I answered it, it was Ethan. Naomi, Lucas has a fever and is crying for you, can you go home to see him? The voice from the other end of the phone was inexplicably pleading. I walked to the balcony, enjoying the breeze. I said softly, Ethan, I've called you several times like this. This is my first time being a mother, and every time my baby is sick, I panic and don't know what to do. Even though the family doctor was there, I still called Ethan with trembling hands, crying and wanting him to come home. But what was his reaction? At that time, his cold voice seemed to still echo in my ears. You said you can't take care of yourself, but how can you not take care of Lucas? Naomi, His voice was hoarse. You make sense, so now, I just want to take care of myself. Naomi, have you recovered your memory? His voice was more cautious than I had ever heard. I didn't lose my memory from beginning to end. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau in a month, and don't think that I will come back to you after I recover my memory. I said it word by word. There is no possibility between us anymore. There seemed to be a sound of glass breaking over there. I hung up the phone without waiting for him to speak, and blocked his phone number by the way, and contacted him again in a month. From that day on, I began to see Ethan frequently, but he just sat in the car and looked at me quietly, and did not disturb my life. Maybe it was unwilling. Maybe it was the bad factors of men, thinking that what they can't get is the best. In short, when I see Ethan now, I just treat him as a stranger passing by. Today is Sunday, and when I opened the door, I saw Lucas coming with a big photo album. He was very familiar, squeezed in directly through the crack of the door, and sat on the sofa. He completely forgot that he asked me to kneel down and beg for his forgiveness when he came to see me last time. Lucas opened the photo album and pulled me over. Mom, look, this is me when I was still in your belly, and this is a photo of me when I was just born. Isn't it cute? Grandma said I was the cutest baby in the whole hospital. He wanted to awaken my maternal love for him. But when I looked at my photos, I only felt heartache for me at that time. I was very thin in the photo, but my belly was bulging. At that time, I was tortured by pregnancy reactions and vomited everything I ate. I was very haggard, my hair was dry, and Lucas was very naughty and always liked to kick me in the middle of the night. I looked at the photos and couldn't help but sigh, so selfish. Mom, what did you say? Lucas looked at me in confusion. I am weak and thin in the photo because of pregnancy, and you only focus on yourself. You don't know how hard it is for me to give birth to you after 10 months of pregnancy. Lucas will not empathize with me, he will not understand my dedication to him. He is a sophisticated egoist like his father. I closed the album, these photos only remind me of some painful memories. Lucas refused to leave and was finally taken away by Pay's housekeeper. After leaving last time, Lucas was very unwilling. A few days later, he came to me again with a ceramic plate. Mom, look, this is the plate you made for me. You said you made it for a whole day. Oh? Then why is it broken? He hesitated. But I know. He broke it. He thought it was too ugly and it would be embarrassing to take it to school. The splashed ceramic fragments scratched my arm, and there is still an indelible fine mark. I don't have much artistic talent. This ceramic plate is the best looking among the dozen or so I made. Finally, Ethan bought him an artist's work and asked him to take it to school. And this one, I glued it together bit by bit. But no matter what it is, once there is a crack, it can never be repaired. This is already a defective product. I threw it into the trash can and it broke into pieces in an instant. Since there is a new replacement, there is no need to keep this one. Lucas looked at the broken plate and froze. Then he thought of something and looked up at me happily. Mom, did you recover your memory and remember me? I shook my head. I didn't lose my memory, I just don't want to think about you and Ethan anymore. I didn't plan to say anything more to Lucas and drove him out. Lucas left in a daze. There was a social gathering at the wine table in the evening, and Ian knew about it and insisted on coming. He was afraid that I would drink too much, but it turned out that he could not drink more. Both of us drank and couldn't drive. This place is very close to home. I supported Ian and planned to walk back, just in time to blow the cold wind to sober up. While he was drunk, I pretended to ask him casually, Ian, do you like me? His dark eyes suddenly lit up, and he looked at me silently for a long time, then suddenly looked away, blushing and nodding heavily. My heart was pounding, and I changed the subject. What did you drink just now? He thought for a while. It seems to be brandy. Really? Bend down. He obediently bent down and looked down at me. His lips were tender and full, with beautiful beads. I leaned over and kissed him. They were so soft, like marshmallows with a liquor filling, and I licked my lips to savor them. Ian opened his eyes wide, drunk and stunned. I said nonchalantly, yeah, it's really brandy. I walked forward, leaving Ian frozen in place with a blush spreading to his ears. Ian quickly caught up with me and hugged me tightly, slightly bending his body to surround me, burying his head in my neck, as happy as a child. He kept muttering, Naomi, I like you so much. As soon as I got home, Ian seemed to sober up and pressed me against the door. Naomi, can I kiss you? When he saw me nod, he was like a puppy seeing a meat bone. His eyes were terribly hot. He kissed all the way to the bed. He pecked my collarbone lightly, and as if he felt my trembling, he stopped. He leaned close to my ear and said in a moist voice, Naomi, stop pushing me away. In the dark, I unbuckled his belt. At the party organized by Ethan's friends, Ethan was drinking silently. He caught the gossiping conversations of the people around him. Suddenly, with a bang, Ethan overturned the table beside him. What did you say? Ian is just the adopted son of the Shin family? He has always liked Naomi? Ethan's face sank instantly, and his voice was colder than ever before. Ethan was very angry. His eyes were red, and he threw all the bottles on the table to the ground. The air around him was stagnant. Several people saw Ethan get angry for the first time, and they trembled and dared not speak. Ethan suddenly thought of a fatal question. Ian had never called him brother-in-law, nor had he ever called Naomi sister. Ethan immediately drove to Ian's company. As soon as he entered the office, he grabbed Ian's collar and punched him. Ethan gritted his teeth. You are really great. I treat you as my brother-in-law, but you actually like your sister. Ian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled contemptuously. You are worthy of being my brother-in-law? Open the communication and look at the chat history with me. Although Ethan was puzzled, he still opened his mobile phone and searched for Ian's chat page. He found it quickly, because Ethan would find him every once in a while. Ethan looked through the chat history, his face getting paler and paler. Accompany your sister to do a prenatal checkup. She has severe pregnancy reflexes and refuses to eat at home. Come over. She is depressed after giving birth. If you have time, accompany her to play abroad. I don't have time. Naomi has a fever. Naomi is throwing a tantrum again. I don't have time to deal with her. Please go and look after her. Naomi was in a car accident. Please take care of her. Ian responded to every message immediately. Ian never took the initiative to look for him, nor did he take the initiative to see Naomi. It was all Ethan who proposed it. In this marriage, Ian accompanied Naomi to 14 prenatal checkups. He asked Ian to accompany Naomi countless times when Naomi was sad. Ian completely played the role of husband in their marriage, and he realized it belatedly. He always lamented the good relationship between the siblings before. Ian is the CEO of a listed company, but as long as he sends a message about Naomi, he will immediately drop his work and come over. Ethan's hands were shaking as he flipped through the chat history, and Ian punched Ethan fiercely. Ethan didn't dodge, and was hit hard, staggering against the wall. Ian looked at Ethan coldly. What do you think after reading it? I have wanted to punch you for a long time. I asked you where you were when Naomi was in labor? Ian answered for him, my wife and children were missing, and you were watching Claire's music performance abroad. I asked you why she had a car accident? You left her on the highway for Claire. Where were you when she was sick and uncomfortable? When you left her again and again, did you ever think that she was your wife? There was a hint of bitterness at the corner of Ethan's mouth. He wanted to refute, but these were all facts, as if a pair of hands were strangling his neck, like a thorn in his throat, and his mind was blank. When I heard from my assistant that Ethan came to the company looking for Ian in a rage, I immediately called the security guard to go to the top floor office. Ethan, what are you doing? As soon as I got out of the elevator, I saw Ethan grabbing Ian's collar in anger. The security guard stepped forward to stop Ethan, and I stood in front of Ian. Ian's swollen mouth was particularly obvious on his fair face, and tears welled up in his eyes, looking pitiful. I touched his face with heartache. Is this your upbringing? I looked at Ethan calmly. Ethan's body swayed, because he saw disgust for him in my eyes. Naomi, I'm hurt too. I turned my eyes away and left with Ian. Security, send him away, and don't let irrelevant people into the company in the future. Ethan asked Lucas to come to me again. Maybe he wanted to use my motherly love for Lucas to keep me. But I am no longer the same as before. Little friend, don't come to me again. I have divorced your father, and I am no longer your mother. Lucas panicked when he heard what I called him. Mom, I want to eat the dark food you cook. I want you to tell me bedtime stories, and I want you to hold me while I sleep. Lucas, anyone can do this. You're just not used to me not being by your side. I turned around and tried to leave. Lucas grabbed my skirt, his voice choking. No, Mom, I really know I was wrong. That day was just a prank of mine. I don't like Aunt Claire at all. I promise I won't do it again next time. Dad is a liar. He said you would come back after you regain your memory, but you clearly remember me, but you don't want me anymore. Grandma Wong told me that it was very hard for Mom when she was pregnant with me. I was too bad when I was a child and always made Mom angry. I looked down at him. Lucas, never wait until you lose something to know how to cherish it. Lucas hugged my thighs with tears in his eyes. Mom, did I lose you? This is the last lesson I teach you as your mother. I hope you will not speak ill of the people you love or the people who love you in the future. You must learn to respect others, and then others will respect you. People will leave when they are hurt. Lucas cried with tears and snot, kneeling on the ground, holding my skirt tightly. Mom, give me another chance. I will definitely change my bad habits. I won't be like Dad. Please believe me, I am your baby. I helped him up. Lucas, your father and I have separated. I will never go back to that house again. He wiped his tears. Mom, if you don't want Dad, then I don't want Dad either. If you don't come to see me, then can I still come to see you in the future? I promise to be good. It's your freedom. People can never teach people, but things can teach people once. Without unforgettable, there will be no great enlightenment. I just hope that Lucas can put aside his arrogance and prejudice in the future, be a good person, and don't let those who love him down. Don't follow his father's path again. I signed a big order at a client company, and when I was about to drive back, I met Claire. She invited me to have a drink in the cafe. Naomi, last time in the hospital, I thought Lucas was testing whether you really had lost your memory, so I didn't refute him. I really need to apologize to you for this. I shouldn't have interfered in your and Ethan's lives, and I shouldn't have been tempted by money and become Lucas' teacher. Claire lowered her head. You are not the reason why Ethan and I divorced. You don't have to blame yourself. I know you are not that kind of person. I still owe Claire a favor. Claire came to our class briefly in the second year of high school. At that time, Claire's status in the Beijing circle could be regarded as the little princess of the Beijing circle, but she was not arrogant or impatient. She always smiled gently at people and her core was very stable. I was very vain at the age of 17 and wanted to fit in with Ethan's circle very much. I was often laughed at by them, but Claire did not. She told me that only when you focus on yourself, the center of the universe will revolve around you. It turns out that she really sees things much better than I do. I quit that job after you left. I figured it out. I can't keep living on the pity of the Pei family. I need to become stronger. I turned on my phone and transferred a file to Claire. In order to repay Claire's favor, I secretly investigated Wen's. Wen's is already a century-old enterprise. It can no longer be described as rich. Expensive is more appropriate. The overnight collapse is indeed suspicious. I helped her find some small actions of her relatives abroad. She can handle the rest by herself. The probability of the Wen family turning over is still quite high. After all, the family background is there. Even a lean camel is bigger than a horse. Claire was very grateful to me when she saw the file, and suddenly thought of Ethan again. Then you and Ethan? I pointed out the window. Ian was standing outside in a gray coat waiting for me patiently. She smiled, sincerely. I wish you happiness. Ethan is really not worth it. Claire left, and she said that Ethan had something to talk to me about. Ethan told me in detail about the good old days between him and me. I interrupted him. You can go back to the past, but there's no one there anymore. Ethan grabbed my hand, his voice choking. Naomi, I'm sure now that the person I love is you, only you. I let go of his hand. I spoke seriously. Love doesn't need to be confirmed. Only unconfirmed love needs repeated confirmation. He continued to try to keep me. Naomi, tomorrow is my birthday. You always make me a bowl of longevity noodles on my birthday. I asked him back, Ethan, did you know that last Sunday was my birthday? Ethan pursed his lips slightly, thought for a few moments, and his face was full of regret. Look, the person you love most is actually yourself. I'm sorry, I will make up for you to have the most grand birthday party. I shook my head. This is no longer a birthday thing. No need, Ethan, you still don't understand. If you miss it, you miss it. I have made an appointment. Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to get the divorce certificate. After leaving you, I finally learned to love myself, so please, don't disturb my life anymore. I turned around and ran to Ian. He has been waiting for me in the cold wind for a long time. I won't let him wait for me anymore, Ethan. The moment I received the divorce certificate was when I really realized that I had lost Naomi. Before that, even on the day of signing the divorce agreement, I was fearless. I have always believed that after Naomi regained her memory, we can still be like before. But I didn't expect that. She didn't lose her memory from beginning to end. I instantly fell into a huge panic, and it seemed that something slipped away from my heart. People are always creatures who are slow to realize things, and they have to wait until they lose something to truly understand the meaning of cherishing. I began to look through her previous circle of friends and the daily life she shared with me before. I couldn't help laughing when I saw her vividly describing some things to me in the chat records. It turned out that the messages she sent to me before were so interesting. It's just that most of the chat records are long strings of messages she sent, but I rarely replied, and even rarely read them. Slowly, she began to send me fewer daily messages, and even stopped sending me messages on her own initiative. People's desire to share will not disappear, but will only shift, so she began to confide in Ian about the little things in her life. Unknowingly, Ian had penetrated into Naomi's life in every possible way, and I didn't care, thinking that they were just good siblings. I always enjoyed her kindness to me, used to being loved. Always enjoying it. I thought she would never leave. It wasn't until I really lost her that I suddenly realized. It turned out that I loved Naomi. But Naomi was gone. Lucas also left. He said he was going to boarding school. He didn't want to hire someone to take care of her. He said he could take care of himself. After Lucas left, I was the only one left in the big house. It didn't feel like a home anymore. There was no warmth. Naomi was so cruel. She didn't leave me anything of hers. Sometimes I envy Lucas. At least he can see his mother every week and call her, and I can only drink every day to numb my nerves. The image of her by my side kept lingering in my mind. I feel so guilty and regretful, and hate myself for missing so many opportunities. I feel so heartbroken every night, because I obviously met her who loved me so much a long time ago. I could be very happy. But I ruined it all. Looking through the only photo of us together when we got married, tears just flowed down. Why didn't my future self travel back to 6 years ago to tell Ethan not to hurt her, not to push her away, and not to let her go? If I had another chance, I would definitely hold her hand tightly, and even death could not separate us. Unfortunately, there is no if. She is getting married. She was my wife a few months ago. I was in a mess. How could this happen? I told Lucas about his mother's marriage to Ian. I thought he would feel as miserable as I did because his mother had abandoned us. But Lucas was not sad. He was happy for his mother. Mom is very happy with Uncle. I hope she can be happy. Yes, even children know that she is happier with Ian. What right do I have to blame Naomi? I went to her wedding. I didn't get to hold a wedding with her, but Ian held one for her. Lucas volunteered to be a flower girl. The wedding was grand. I didn't know how beautiful Naomi looked in her wedding dress. I wish you happiness. Thank you. She smiled. She had let it go, and I had missed happiness. I will never be happy in my life. This is the biggest punishment for me.